Hi, sixth graders. We're on lesson 1-6, which is variables and expressions, and it starts on page 44 in your textbook. The learning target is I can evaluate simple algebraic expressions. So remember to pause and write this in your notebook. Remember, you should be writing your notes in your math notebook, not just on a random sheet of paper. If you don't have your notebook, obviously do that, and then make sure it gets taped or paper clipped or stapled into your math notebook so all of your notes are all together. So if we look at this pattern of squares and we look at the number of squares in each figure, so this is figure 1, and there's a table down here below that counts the number of squares in each figure. So figure 1 has 3 squares. Figure 2 we can see has 4 squares, and figure 3 we can see has 5 squares. So we can see that each time one square is added to each figure, or to make a new figure. So if we wanted to find figure 10, we don't even need to keep drawing the figures. We just know that we can add a number each time. So for figure 4, without even drawing it, we know that it would be 6 squares. Holy moly, that's thick. Let's make it a little bit skinnier. And then we know that figure 5 would be 7 squares, figure 6 would be 8 squares, and then we go on and on to get to 10. Okay? We can also look for a relationship between the figure and the number of squares. If we look at the figure 1, we can see to get from 1 to 3, we can add 2. Same goes from 2 to 4, add 2. So for figure 3, we know that if we add 2 to the figure number, we get 5, which is the number of squares. So for each one. So if we were going to continue our table, but if we wanted to figure out for figure 10, we know that we can just add 2, and then the number of squares would be 12. So whatever the figure is, if we wanted to go to figure 100, we could add 2 and we would get 102. So for any figure, n, which is called our variable, because our variable is a symbol that represents an unknown quantity. So say we wanted figure n, we would say, and that would mean any figure, any number we could plug in for n, plus 2, because that's the number of squares, would be, or the number, sorry, plus 2 to our figure number would give us the number of squares. So n plus 2, is what we would call an algebraic expression. Okay, so that's something important that you should write down. An algebraic expression contains variables, numbers, and at least one operation. An expression does not have an equal sign. It is just a one-sided, no equal sign at all. So n plus 2 or 3n would be an example of an algebraic expression. X minus 4, d divided by 2. All of these are examples of algebraic expressions. Okay, algebra is the branch of math that involves expressions with variables. So algebra, we're going to be working a lot with variables, which is our letters that represent the unknown quantity. So for any figure n, we know if we wanted figure number 200, we could put 200 in for n, add 2, and we would get the number of squares, which would be 202. Evaluate n plus 3 if n equals 4. So n plus 3 is an example of an algebraic expression, and then it's telling us that n equals 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 4 and we're going to plug it in to n. So we're going to rewrite this, except for our n, we're going to have a 4. So 4 plus 3 would equal 7. Now obviously if n was a different number, we would get a different answer, but n is 4, so we put in 4. 15 minus c if c equals 8. Here's my algebraic expression. C equals 8, so we put 8 into c. We rewrite it. 15 minus 8 then would equal 7. Okay, when we use variables, the multiplication sign is often omitted. Totally. So remember we talked about when we would do, like, say we have 6 times 7, we're going to start using a dot instead of our x, because our x, as you know, is going to start to be used as a variable. But if we have a number and a variable together, we don't even need to use a multiplication symbol at all. If there's a number and a variable right next to each other, it tells us that they're being multiplied. So 6d would be the same as 6 times d. If it was being added or any other operation, the operation symbol would be in there. Okay? 6 plus d would be like that. Okay? But for 6d, if d equals 3, then it would be 6 times 3, which would equal 18. Okay? So you don't just put in a 3, it would not equal, okay, if 6d and then d was 3, it would not equal 63. You don't just put in the number, okay? It means multiplication. So 9st would mean 9 times s times t. mn would be m times n. Okay, I want you to pause me and do these 3 problems in your notebook and then unpause and check. So evaluate each expression if a equals 4 and b equals 3. So 9a, so we would have 9 times 4 minus 6 times 3. Okay, my mouse is being super weird right now, so I'm sorry that it's acting all funky. So 9 times 4, then we know is 36 minus 18, because we do our multiplication first. 36 minus 18, let's put our equal sign, would be 18. So 9a minus 6b equals 18 when a equals 4 and b equals 3. ab divided by 2, so that tells us that it's 4 times 3 divided by 2. We do multiplication first and then division, so 4 times 3 would be 12 divided by 2, so we get 6. And then 2a squared plus 5, so it would be 2 times 4 squared plus 5. So notice how I rewrite it just like it is, except I put in my numbers or my values for my variables. So I do exponents first. 4 squared is 16. So 2 times 16 plus 5. So we have 2 times 16 is 32 plus 5. 32 plus 5 equals 37. To find the area of a triangle, you can use the formula BH, that should be over 2, where h is the height and b is the base. What is the area in square inches of a triangle with a height of 6 inches and a base of 8 inches? So it tells us h is the height and b is the base. Okay, we're told a height of 6 inches and then a base of 8 inches. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug in. So let's rewrite. So we were told that the base is 8 and the height is 6. So BH, which remember is the same as base times height, divided by 2. So now we're going to plug it in. 8 times 6 divided by 2. So 8 times 6 equals 48 divided by 2 equals 24 inches, and because it's area, it would be 24 inches squared. Okay, remember you can rewatch the video and you can look on the online textbook, and also don't forget to log into NICU and take the 1-6 quiz. Have a super evening, and I will see you tomorrow.